The bicycle, one of the simplest yet most efficient inventions in human transportation, has profoundly impacted society, culture, and mobility across the world. Its development reflects centuries of innovation, trial and error, and the persistent pursuit of human-powered transportation. Often affectionately referred to as the bike or cycle, the bicycle has evolved dramatically since its earliest conceptions in the 18th century. What began as a rudimentary wooden frame has become a sleek, high-performance machine that serves purposes ranging from daily commuting to competitive sports. The story of the bicycle is not just about technology. It's a story of freedom, accessibility, and the evolution of transportation for the masses. Long before bicycles existed in their current form, the idea of a personal wheeled vehicle powered by the rider was a dream for many inventors. In ancient times, humans relied mostly on walking, animal-drawn carts, or boats for travel. Wheels were used extensively in chariots and carriages, but the idea of combining wheels with human power in a lightweight, self-propelled device didn't emerge until the late 18th century. The key problem was balance and propulsion. How could a person ride something with wheels without falling? And how could they move it forward without using an external power source? A very first recognized precursor to the modern bicycle appeared in 1817, and it was known as the Laufmaschine, also called the Draisine, or dandy horse. It was invented by Baron Karl von Drais, a German civil servant who was trying to find a transportation alternative to horses, which were expensive to maintain and had become scarce after widespread crop failures led to the starvation of animals in Europe. Von Drais's invention consisted of a simple wooden frame with two inline wheels, a padded saddle, and handlebars for steering. The rider would straddle the machine and push along the ground with their feet. Though it lacked pedals or a chain mechanism, it was the first two-wheeled steerable, human-propelled machine, and it sparked curiosity and excitement across Europe. The Draisine enjoyed a brief wave of popularity in the early 1820s, especially in England and France, but was quickly banned from pedestrian sidewalks due to accidents. While it was a significant milestone, it remained a novelty more than a practical vehicle. Over the next few decades, interest in personal wheeled transportation persisted, and various inventors tried to improve upon von Drais's model. However, true progress stalled until the 1860s, when two French carriage makers named Pierre Michaux and Pierre Lallement began experimenting with a new design. In 1861, Michaux and Lallement developed what is considered the first true bicycle, called the Velocipede, or sometimes the Boneshaker. It featured a solid iron frame, two wooden wheels with iron rims, and crucially pedals attached directly to the front wheel. This innovation allowed the rider to propel the machine without touching the ground, marking the transition from a walking aid to a pedaled vehicle. The Velocipede was a groundbreaking advancement, but it was also extremely uncomfortable. The iron-rimmed wheels produced a rough ride on cobblestone streets, leading to its nickname, Boneshaker. Despite the discomfort, the Velocipede quickly caught the public's imagination, especially in France, and later in England and the United States. Schools and clubs were formed for enthusiasts, and races were organized, introducing a new culture around cycling. However, the heavy and crude construction, combined with a jarring ride, limited the Velocipede's mass appeal. Over the next decade, further refinements were made, particularly in Britain, where cycle manufacturing gained momentum. The next major evolution came in the 1870s with the development of the high wheeler, or penny-farthing bicycle, named for its resemblance to a large British penny followed by a smaller farthing. This design featured an enormous front wheel and a much smaller rear wheel. The front wheel, which was directly driven by pedals, allowed for greater speed. The larger the wheel, the farther the bicycle could travel with each pedal rotation. Inventors like James Starley in Coventry, England, were instrumental in refining the high wheeler design, introducing improvements in metallurgy and wheel construction that made the bikes lighter and more durable. The high-wheeler became a symbol of adventure, speed, and gentlemanly sport. However, it was also dangerous. The high center of gravity meant that riders were prone to taking a header, falling forward over the handlebars when braking or hitting an obstacle. Despite the risks, the bicycle craze took off, and cycling clubs and races flourished throughout Europe and North America during the 1870s and 1880s. These bicycles were expensive, and due to their size and physical demands, mostly used by wealthy, athletic men. The invention that truly transformed cycling into a mainstream mode of transportation was the introduction of the safety bicycle in the late 1880s. This model, credited primarily to John Kemp Starley, nephew of James Starley, featured a diamond-shaped frame, 2 wheels of equal size, a chain-driven rear wheel, and rubber tires. The safety bicycle was lower to the ground, easier to mount, and far less prone to dangerous spills than its high-wheeled predecessor. It was also much more accessible to women, children, and the elderly. Suddenly, the bicycle was no longer just a sporting toy for elite men. It became a serious, practical vehicle. One of the key components that helped make the safety bicycle viable was the pneumatic tire, invented by John Boyd Dunlop in 1888. Dunlop, a Scottish veterinarian, designed the air-filled rubber tire to provide a smoother ride for his son's tricycle. This simple yet transformative idea greatly improved comfort and performance, reducing the jarring experience of riding over uneven surfaces. Pneumatic tires became standard on bicycles almost immediately and helped establish the modern form factor we recognize today. By the 1890s, the bicycle boom had begun. Factories sprang up across Europe and the United States to meet the growing demand. Mass production techniques allowed for more affordable models, and advertising campaigns targeted middle-class consumers. Cycling became a popular pastime and a means of transportation for millions. It also had profound cultural and social impacts. For women, especially, the bicycle became a symbol of freedom and emancipation. Reformers like Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton championed the bicycle as a tool for women's liberation, arguing that it allowed greater independence, mobility, and participation in public life. As the 20th century dawned, bicycles continued to improve in terms of materials, gears, and braking systems. Manufacturers like Raleigh in England and Schwinn in the United States became household names. Bicycles became staples of daily life in both urban and rural settings, especially before the widespread availability of automobiles. In developing countries, the bicycle was often the most accessible form of personal transportation, enabling commerce, education, and healthcare in remote areas. In the 1920s and 1930s, with the rise of the automobile, bicycles began to lose their status as primary transportation in industrialized nations. However, they remained popular as children's toys and leisure items. During World War II, bicycles played a vital role in military logistics and civilian life, especially in countries where fuel and vehicles were scarce. After the war, cycling experienced renewed interest, especially as a sport. The 1960s and 1970s witnessed a bicycle renaissance in many countries, driven by environmental awareness, health consciousness, and urban congestion. The introduction of lightweight materials like aluminum and eventually carbon fiber revolutionized bicycle design. The development of mountain bikes in the 1980s brought cycling to off-road terrains, expanding its appeal and creating a new sporting category. BMX bikes also gained traction among youth, combining stunt riding with racing culture. In the 21st century, bicycles have become more diverse and specialized than ever before. From road bikes, touring bikes, and city commuters to fat tire bikes, hybrid bikes, and e-bikes, there is a cycle for nearly every purpose and person. The integration of smart technologies, GPS, and power meters has turned cycling into a data-rich experience, especially for enthusiasts and professionals. Bicycles have also played a major role in sustainable urban planning. Cities like Copenhagen and Amsterdam have built extensive cycling infrastructure, encouraging bike commuting as a primary mode of transport. In contrast, cities in the developing world often rely on bicycles for economic survival. Non-profit programs around the globe distribute donated bikes to communities, helping school children reach classrooms or healthcare workers visit patients in remote areas. During the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, bicycles witnessed another global boom. Lockdowns and concerns about public transportation led to skyrocketing bike sales. People embraced cycling as a safe, solo way to exercise, commute, and explore. The surge renewed calls for more cycling infrastructure, green transport policies, and public health benefits. Today, the bicycle stands as a symbol of health, sustainability, and human ingenuity. From its beginnings as a wooden walking machine to its place in high-performance sports and green mobility, the bicycle has proven itself to be a timeless invention. It continues to evolve with new materials, smarter technologies, and innovative designs, but at its heart remains a simple, elegant solution to one of humanity's oldest needs: to move freely.